So, as we've done in the past, not for a little while, but as we've done in the past, we like to get the old man perspective of what's going on in the real estate market. We get the millennial perspective from Mary Gaston, Realty Pro 100. She's in the millennial class. That's why we bring in the millennial. That's why we titled it this segment. And it's amazing how the differences are in perception. Obviously, it's just because of experience, right? Someone like me, I've seen many markets firsthand. You just get to see them in the history books.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we like to chat about here and see what's going on in the market. And I don't know if you've caught it, Mary. I've been on a rant lately. With
You're not on a
rant. That's true. Chapman University came out with their economic forecast update.
Mm-hmm.
And they said home prices are going to drop 11%.
No.
And they didn't tell anybody that what they're really talking about is median home prices.
I have heard that rant. Yes, I heard that last week from you.
Yeah, so you look at it and you say, okay, why won't they tell people the whole story? Because your comment was exactly what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Prices are not going down. Do you see that in the marketplace?
No.
Do you foresee it?
No.
And you're not even an economist?
No.
See that then? But the question, we'll get to it a little bit here in a minute. 1 out of 4 people still think prices are going to go down.
Okay.
Does it make any sense?
Absolutely not.
I just don't get it. Year over year, seasonally adjusted annual existing home sales. Now we can see that home sales are dropping.
Yes.
West Coast 12.5 down 12.5%.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that within your firm as well?
Oh, absolutely.
So right now, the only thing you can hope for is take as a firm is trying to just grab market share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So that's the bigger issue. But down 16.5%, does that mean it's an opportunity for somebody to sell?
Yeah, absolutely. Prices are still going up.
Prices are going up and you don't have as much competition.
Yes.
So that could be a big issue. And ironically enough, Lawrence Yun, he is an economist, and he comes out saying that the current sales activity is based on inventory availability and mortgage rates,
mm-hmm.
which I don't think you have to be an economist to know that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's like a no-brainer. I think I've got Gomer telling us it.
Surprise, surprise.
And, I mean, there's no, why is somebody going to move unless they have to?
Exactly.
Right? If they've got we know like 70% of the people have a mortgage below 4%.
Mm-hmm.
Why in the world? Diamonds, diapers, diplomas?
Yeah.
Right?
And even then, though, people are still hanging on, even though they sort of are in that need.
They've got a need and they're still going to hang on.
Yeah. They're not going to let go of that.
They're not going to sell, but they might buy.
It's uncomfortable for people to let go of the 4%. And if, like, for example, if it's the diapers and they need a bigger house, a lot of people are just making the space they have work because it's going to be a huge jump with the interest rate increase to get a bigger place now than it was a couple years ago when they got in.
So what about the first time buyers, the younger buyers, similar, well, you can't use you because you're an anomaly. You did a lot of things in advance that people should do. Mm-hmm. But I bet a lot of your peers didn't go and get that first starter home and then be in a position to get the next home.
Correct.
So are they saying that they're going to stop? Are they talking about waiting until interest rates go back to 2%?
I think that's what a lot of people are waiting for because at this point now they can't afford to get the bigger house that they need.
Okay.
They're in the.
Can they afford to get anything?
Not really. A lot of people are stuck because they can't afford to get what they need now, so they're in that starter home for a while.
Well, at least they're in a starter home in their own home.
Yes, and then the ones who were saying, "Oh, I'm just going to wait for the market to crash," I haven't heard that in a long time.
You haven't?
I haven't.
Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm. I think it's after 3-4 years, it's finally stuck with them that it's not going down anytime soon.
It's not going down. What about interest rates? Do they believe that interest rates are going to be dropping?
I think that's what people are hoping because now that the prices have gone up, that's the only sort of little hope they can grasp onto is the interest rates will go down, so the affordability is a little bit better. Do
you ever talk and hear anyone talking about what they think is a needed number? Like right now, I think I said before that yesterday loans locked at 7.19. Mm-hmm. Is 6 going to be the number that they feel comfortable with? 5?
You know, I always just tell people if you can afford it now, do it now because rates will go down. If and when they go down, you can refinance.
Right.
But historically, real estate's going to go up.
So act now instead of worrying about what the numbers are.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense. But the question becomes is will people listen?
Yeah.
And you know, no matter how much we talk about it, you know, and maybe I shouldn't put it that way. Maybe it's our job to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Right? To inform people that, you know, hey, what is I'll throw this at you. Have you ever asked a millennial, you know, in your peer group, what it would take for interest rates to go to 2 or 3% again?
I haven't.
The fascinating thing is I mean, in my lifetime, I've only seen interest rates, you know, in the threes twice. Once was during the Great Recession. Don't want to go back to that. Once was during the pandemic. Don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
So do we really want 3% interest rates? Right? People don't, you know, you don't hear people talk about that part of it. Is what would cause them to go back there.
Yeah.
Man, not a good idea.
Yeah. It's just they don't have that concept and understanding though of, you know, the
Of
history
history.
of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because, you know, from my perspective, I got into real estate, 10 years ago now? It's always been sort of around 6, 7 has been the highest I've seen.
Sure. This probably right now is probably the highest you've ever seen.
Exactly.
Not like me with the 18% in 1983.
Yeah. So like my normal is probably more like 5%.
Okay. Which is a good point because some of the stats that are out there actually show that if we get a 5 handle, first digit being a 5, whatever follows that is called a 5 handle. So if you get a 5 handle, that's going to really open up a lot of people to say, you know something, I think I need to go out and buy. Question is, will it get people to go out and say, I'll go out and sell?
Yes.
Right? Is that because that could be, maybe or may not. So one of the other catalysts that we've seen that's driving this inventory or the housing sales decline is new construction. So we've got 14 years in a row where we've been below average in new construction. Does that surprise you?
No, but I've seen more and more popping up for sure.
Okay.
But I mean, it's different because I live out in the middle of nowhere where there's a lot of land to build on.
Oh, so there's still land where you can actually build.
Yeah. So there's a lot of land. So there's a lot of builders who are building. They're building quick.
Really? So they're getting them up. They're getting them done.
Yep.
Are the properties staying on the market very long?
They've definitely slowed down as compared to, you know, this time last year, but they're still selling pretty quick.
Are the builders giving incentives to make them sell?
Yeah, it depends on the builder, but there are quite a few builders who are doing buy downs, rate
Buy
buy
downs.
downs. There was an email I got from the builder who actually in my neighborhood, one of the homes, they're buying it down to under 6.
Under 6
is what they were offering.
Okay.
I think the rate they put out was like 5.68. They were willing to buy it down to.
And is that on a permanent buy down or a temporary buy down?
That I don't know.
They didn't put that. Okay. So great point though, because that's a lot of people don't know. So as somebody that's experienced in this, probably got more experience than even seasoned individuals, you know to look for that and it's not really there. So if you're seeing a builder that's offering properties and offering a buy down, you've got the majority, most buy downs are either 3-2-1 buy down, a 2-1 buy down, or a permanent buy down. 3-2-1, basically first year they take 3% off the interest rate. Does not help you qualify, but it does help with your budget. Then you've got then the next year it's 2% off, then it's 1% off, and then you go to the full number for the remainder of the life of the loan. The permanent buy down is just what it says. You're buying it down or it's being bought down for the entire life of the loan. And that does allow you to use that number to qualify because it's a life of the loan buy down. So if you see those things, you need to understand what the differences are and ask that question. And as I shared yesterday, if you go to a new builder, don't give them your name unless you're with your real estate agent, right? And the reason, again, and not that, you know, there's a commission built into that price of whatever the builder's selling it for. But if you give them your name, then they're not going to pay your realtor, and you want your realtor to be representing you, to give you the guidance. Now, you know, you're familiar with builder contracts.
I think I've done more builders than anything else for buyers.
Okay. did you use the standard California Association of Realtors contract or the
No,
builder's contract?
They always have their own contracts.
They have their own contracts.
Mhm.
Probably doesn't have as many protections for the buyers.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's all written by their lawyers for their benefit.
Yes.
Okay. Now, are you able to help the buyers then understand what's in that contract?
Yes.
Okay. So, and there exactly is the reason. So you've got a contract that's one-sided. My opinion, I'm not putting words in Mary's mouth.
I will accept those words.
Okay. Okay. And you've been seeing them.
Yes.
So it's the contract's one-sided in the favor of the builder. And do you understand all the terms that are in there? Big issue. And again, you want to have somebody representing you. I'm going to tell you for sure. Here's the thought. If you were getting divorced, would you want to use your partner's attorney to represent you? Just throw that out there. Continuing our conversation, chatting with Mary Gaston, Realty Pro 100, the millennial and the old man. So staying in their homes long. This is an interesting slide because we have this slide going back from 1985. And Josh, if you have this one, slide 10. Today's homeowners are staying in their houses for an average of 9 years, over 9 years. From 1985 to 2009, it averaged 6.1 years. Now, if you're watching us, it's a slide. I don't know why my numbers are. There you go. If you're looking at this on RonSiegelRadio.tv and our socials, we only put the years on that NAR did this. They didn't do it every year. They didn't give the data, so we didn't miss something here. It's just we only have the years they did this. 6.1 years. Now it's over about 9.3 years since 2010. Kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. People are just staying. There's not a catalyst.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, home sales are down. People are staying longer.
Yeah, you don't. Well, they're staying. And is it the chicken and egg though?
Mm-hmm.
Are home sales down because people are staying longer? Are people staying longer because affordability and pricing?
Because of the affordability.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they want to. They just don't have a choice, right? I mean, some people want that new build. Some people don't like new build. Some people want to move out of the big cities.
Yeah, personally, I don't see a lot of people who are selling in one city to stay in that same city to buy again.
Okay.
I think the majority is people are moving cities or they're moving out of state.
So the question is going to become, during the pandemic, it became that people were moving from the rural areas, from the urban areas, the downtown areas. They were going out into Tuleville because they could work remotely. Mm-hmm. Now that some of these companies are forcing you to go back to the office,
they're going to have a hard time getting back in, though.
That's the question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are they going to be able to? Because, in some of the cities now, in this segment, I don't get political, but there is more, crime to worry about. And some of the, people don't want to really live in San Francisco anymore.
Oh, absolutely not. And I think a lot of those people, they've become so accustomed to working from home. If they're being told they need to be back in the office, they're looking for another job that they can work from home.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. And you'd have firsthand on this because you said earlier that that you live in, I think you said Tuleville?
Palmdale?
No, I thought you said, I know.
Oh, I think I said middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. Okay. So, but do you get people, did people move from the main city metropolis to Palmdale area?
Oh yeah. I was talking to the sales rep in my community and she says a lot of the people who are coming, they're actually from Orange County. They're from LA and they're commuting.
Well, I think when you and I spoke about it quite a while ago, the size property that you got, if you had to buy that in Orange County,
it would be a shack for the same price.
Yeah, price would be a shack, or the property that you got would be multi-million.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, so you're able, and so you didn't pay multi-millions.
Oh no.
Okay, just curious. I mean, I didn't know if you won the lottery and then went out there.
Oh, I wish, but
right?
If I won the lottery, I would not be out there. Let's just say that.
Oh, okay, but there we go. So the bottom, but you're able to get a lot for your money.
Yes.
And now you do sacrifice a little bit because you're able to telecommute part-time.
Yes.
But you also do commute sometimes.
Yes.
And that gives you what's your commute time?
Well, I leave my house at 4:30 in the morning, so it's only an hour and a half.
Wow.
If I left, 6 or 7, it would take me 3 hours.
3 hours. Okay. So you're fortunate this time that your baby can be with you at that time.
Yes.
So she can probably sleep the whole ride.
Yep.
When it comes to when she's older and you're dealing with kindergarten and school, becomes a whole different subject, a bit different conversation.
Yes.
Okay, so month's inventory of homes for sale. Still not a whole lot of inventory available.
Nope.
Now we've talked about this before. The normal market is 6 months, and I think it's
well,
been
not normal balance.
balance. You're right. There you go. You're right. Absolutely. It's been a long time since we've seen a inventory of 6 months availability.
Yes.
I think that I've got another chart that we'll have later in the week that shows that it's been about 10 years.
I was gonna say, I mean, in my experience, I would say I feel like that number needs to be adjusted down, because at this point, anytime there's a home that's on the market, 3-4 months, it really seems to be slipping more into the buyers,
Buyer's side.
advantage.
So as an agent or leading agents, when you see a property that's been on the market for 4 months, what is your thought?
The sellers have a little bit more desperation.
The sellers have more desperation.
Yeah, so it's sort of the power sort of slips into the buyer's hands a little bit more.
Okay. I was thinking from my perspective is what's wrong with that property? Why is it on the market that long? What are they
Which
doing?
either way, the power slipping in the buyer's hand.
Right,
If there's something wrong with the
exactly.
property.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if the seller's not desperate, maybe the seller's got a unrealistic expectation of price.
Yes.
If the seller's desperate, or if the buyer thinks there's a problem with the property, all of those issues basically say, something's going on here that we've got to explore.
Yeah, so that's why I sort of argue that the 6 months I feel like might be a little bit outdated, but also might go back to I've only been in real estate for 10 years, so we've never really had that normal balance.
Yeah, you've never had a balanced market. Yeah, it's exactly. So the question is, what's going to happen in that? We don't know. So maybe it is, but again, if you see a property that's been on the market for 4 months, I'd start asking questions. I don't, it could be unrealistic. Any one of those things I just mentioned could be.
And honestly, it could just be the marketing of the agent.
Ah.
It could just be, the placement of the property, the photos. It doesn't do it justice. It could just be a marketing standpoint, but normally that's not where it is.
So that goes to the next question I would have for you, and it's not part of our discussion here in essence, but you may know the answer. What do you see for the most part as a normal contract time? The time that a seller will give the agent in the contract to sell the property?
That's a great question. I don't go over every contract in the office, but I would say most people take normally at least 6 month listings.
6 month listings. Okay. I know that's what it had been historically. So I just didn't know if it was still there. I look at it and say, if it's not sold in 90 days, why? Continue our conversation. Mary Gaston, Realty Pro 100. We're chatting about real estate. We're chatting about the millennial perspective and the old man perspective. And we got on a lot of different rabbit trails this morning. If you've missed them, you should go back and take a look at some of these, because we're covering a lot of areas and a lot of things that people maybe or may not be thinking about. August, new listings. So ironically enough, probably the first time in many, many years, it's not on this chart, but first time in many, many years, August listings actually went up from the June or July numbers.
Interesting.
Kind of crazy when you think about it. And it's long, as far as many years, the charts that I've seen, I haven't seen a chart that even goes back far enough to show where August was more listings than June or July. It usually starts tapering off.
Yeah, usually like peaks in July and
right, and heads on down. Now we look at these, and we're looking at new listing count for August of every year. And don't think when you're looking at this chart on ronsiegelradio.tv or socials that we have trouble counting. We do know that 2020, 2021, and 2022 existed. We call those unicorn years, so we don't really count those as normal. 387,000 though in 2023 for August listings versus pretty close to 490,000 on average before that.
Yep.
That's a significant drop, 25% drop.
Yeah.
Not a lot. So you wonder why sales are down? Pretty easy answer.
And you wonder why the prices aren't falling even though interest rates are going up.
That's a great comment, because Most people don't think about that. So explain that part a little bit more, because everybody talked. Chapman University said the prices are going to drop.
Mhm.
You and I laugh, right? And I tell them right to their face because I did go there.
Yeah. So I mean, I remember back in the pandemic years when it was so low, we were talking about what's going to stop the prices from going up, and I said interest rates. That's the only thing that's going to stop them from going up, is if the interest rates are higher. Well, interest rates went higher, but the demand dropped even more.
Ah, okay.
So that demand is down. So even though interest rates are higher, the demand fell even further.
well, demand,
Not
I
the
don't know.
demand, sorry, the supply.
Yeah,
Mom brain.
yeah,
The supply fell even further than it was.
yeah.
So,
So with no supply, that holds prices up.
yeah, and the supply was already an issue when the rates were so low. And then
Ah,
even though rates went higher, the supply dropped even further.
so
Prices are going down.
let's go off script again then.
Okay.
So if interest rates go down,
Mhm.
is that going to bring more demand on more supply on the market?
No, but it's going to bring more demand.
It's going to bring more demand.
Yeah.
So those people that can't buy now are actually going to be able to buy
Mhm.
if they could find something.
Yeah. I mean, I really only see more supply coming on the market is if the rates get down to as low as they were, because then people are going to feel more comfortable moving from that starter home to something that they need, like something bigger, because the rates are going to be similar.
Which is an interesting perspective, the way you put that, Mary, because you looked at it again from the millennial perspective,
Mhm.
as to, you know, the starter home to get to the bigger property.
People won't feel as stuck anymore.
But, you know, from the old man perspective,
Mhm.
I say, you know something, do I really want a 4-bedroom house or a 5-bedroom house?
Mhm.
Think about yourself. So you've got a larger property,
Yes.
and now push out 30 years from now.
Mhm.
Is that still going to be the property that's going to suit your needs?
No, it's going to be it's already too big.
Okay, so it's already too big.
Yes.
So, you know, if rates come down, and, you know, you've got a massive so here's the question. 30 years from now, theoretically, you could have your mortgage paid off
Yes.
if you wanted to,
Mhm.
right? Now, and you want a smaller house.
Mhm.
Are you going to care about mortgage rates at that point?
No.
Right? You're going to just sell what you have to buy what you want.
Well, I might though, because I would probably rent my house and buy another one.
Well, yeah, true. But the bottom line is you're still probably not going to really care as much about the rates aren't going to be as important to you,
Mhm.
because
So
you
they'll
could take the money
money
out
if
of
I
your
need it.
property, right? So the bottom line is, as we get old, as you have the older generation, the rates are not as important
Mhm.
as they are to the millennial generation.
Yeah, I mean that's true, because I mean I think about my parents. They sold their house and they just wanted to buy cash. They bought cash so they didn't care about where the rates were.
Right. It was an irrelevant issue.
Mhm.
So, I do have the chart. Josh, 17. So we actually do have the chart that shows new listings ticking up. And this chart goes back to 2017. And we've never seen it where the new listings are going up in August. You can see every one of those other charts down dramatically
Mhm.
every month. So the question becomes, what's driving the new listings? Is it people that are have tos?
Mhm.
Or maybe some people are getting to the point that they're starting to say, you know something, this is where interest rates are. They're not going to change.
Yeah.
That could be the case too. If you start getting to the point that, you know, it is what it is,
They're accepting it as the new normal.
they're accepting the new normal. And, you know, I've got to have that bigger house, or I think I have to. It's not, you may not necessarily have to, but, you know something, if you're in a studio and now you're looking at your second child on the way,
Mhm.
that might be considered a have to.
Yeah.
Right. And it may not be conducive for schooling.
Mhm.
A lot of the studios are not in an area that's conducive for schooling as well. And we should talk about a term that has some negative connotations, but not necessarily. Nepo home buyers. Have you heard that one?
I have not heard that.
Okay, Nepo home buyers. Some people think nepotism is bad, right? But in this scenario, parents giving their kids money to help them buy a house.
It's hard, I think, for most millennials and Gen X or Gen Z, whatever, to buy a house on their own.
Sure.
I think it is hard. And I think about like the future. I'm saving for my daughter.
Well, you may be
Like-
you may be in the position, and I get it,
Mhm.
that you're saving for your daughter, but you've got a game plan that if you
Yes.
decided to, you could probably set your kids up in their own house,
Mhm.
right? Because you're taking action 20 years before that frame comes.
Yeah. I just think about how hard it is now. I can't imagine how much harder it's going to be in 20, 30 years.
Right. Big issue. So the idea there, old people, young people, plan. Put together that plan, get the work that plan. And, if you have a plan, at least, even if you don't get to exactly where you want to be and you only get 80% of the way there, still a lot better off.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And you're setting up your kids and grandkids for success. If you want more information, give me a call, 800-306-1990. If you want to meet Mary or her team, 800-306-1990. I'd be happy to put you in touch if you want to be in Palmdale.
Yeah.
Which is where you'll find Mary most of the time.